Welcome to your Networth's Network. I'm your host, Corey McNabb, and this is a networking-based podcast where we bring up special guests, we talk about their lives, talk about their business, and figure out how we can all work together. My goal in life is to rise to a place of excellence, and I want to bring you with me. So that being said, let's bring up a good friend of mine, Mr. Francois Ricard.
Solid introduction. Thank you, brother.
What's up, Francois? How you been?
I'm amazing, man. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, Francois, go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I joined Gator roughly, I want to say probably about, it's coming up on about 5 months ago now. With that being said, I went through the trainings, and the first time I went through the trainings, I did it incorrectly, right? So in the sense that I went through the training, I treated it like school, where you review the material, you remember it for just long enough, and then you just dump it all out, right? I didn't fully soak it in and immerse myself, so to speak. So after that was said and done, I said, okay, I went the route of the traditional EMD. I outreached to wholesalers across Facebook. My only problem that I was running into was Facebook was just too inconsistent for me. Whether it was just messages not being able to send, not being able to do enough daily outreach, whatever it may have been. So I shifted the focus then to just outreach to general title companies, right? I want to say this past week, I've probably called, it's about Wednesday now. So I've called within the vicinity of maybe 100 title companies, give or take. I've only had about maybe 3 or 4 that are actual potential individuals that I can work with. And then we're just moving forward from there, right? So it's a little bit about me. Grew up in the California area. To be specific with you, I'm 18, so I am a younger entrepreneur. And yeah, it's been a journey, to say the least.
Man, okay. So obviously I know what Gator is, but
Absolutely.
anybody watching this who they're like, what do you mean he's a gator? This kid's crazy. He thinks he's an animal. Like, just give a brief explanation of gator.
Yeah, so the simplest way I can explain Gator, which is honestly the only way I understand it myself, is Gator is just a method of just bringing a resource to another individual, right? So we'll use the common example of an earnest money deposit. So for those of you who don't know, again, all an earnest money deposit is, it's a 1 to 3% of the purchase price, whatever that may be. And it's a lot of wholesalers don't have that earnest money deposit. And since it's such a smaller loan, not many people are willing to fund it. Because if you were to go about it from an interest perspective, let's say you charged 100% yearly for a $2,000 earnest deposit, you're only gaining $1,500. That's where individuals like me and Corey and other people that are in this group come in and say, you know what, hey, we're going to bring you a resource. That resource just happens to be this capital, and rather than charging you an interest rate, we're going to just take a chunk. So on 1,500, you could make upwards of maybe even $4,000. So you could realistically double your money within less than a week's period of time. And that's one of, I want to say, the 6 methods that we have. It goes on to a plethora of others, but that's the simplest explanation I can give to Gator.
That's great. Yeah, we don't have to get into all the details. Because really what I want to focus on is you're 18. When, I guess a better question is, like, what advice do you have for, like, you're not even a kid, so I can't say a kid. What advice do you have for younger adults that are maybe thinking of doing similar things to what you're doing?
I would say that I went into this too fast and I underestimated it completely, right? I completely, you know, I was, I think the saying young and dumb is very true. And I was very naive, right? Like I tried to live both lives for a really long time. I tried to go to the club on Saturday and then plan on Sunday for outreach. I tried to go out with my friends and do this and then come back to work. And I'm not saying you can't do those things necessarily, but I'm just saying you can't have that if this is going to be your focus, right? So I would say just knowing and really, really thinking about everything you're going to have to say no to, right? Because I spent a lot of time in my dorm room. It's quiet, I'm alone, etc. And that's not a bad thing, but you're going to have to say a no a lot. And a lot, I mean a lot more than you really ever thought you would. So you really have to put that in perspective. Because now the only difference is if I fail here, I just failed larger than I would have without it. Right? Plain and simple. So I completely undershot it. I didn't think of, okay, how am I going to run this business? How am I going to do it? Yes, I was focusing on the money, but that's not the end goal of this, right? The end goal is to create a community, to have a self-sustaining business, and to obviously achieve financial freedom like everyone else. But you simply are just going to have to do what no one else is willing to do, which is what I didn't really think to factor in, so to speak.
I love it. I love it. So you're building your business out of your dorm room, right?
Literally.
Is it? Oh man, if I had the mentality you had at your age, or you have now, when I was at your age, I'd be so much further than I am. But you know what? We're all on our own journey. I was more concerned with girls and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I get it. I get it, man. All right. Well, okay. So you say you perform an outreach. I know you mentioned talking to title companies. What I'm actually curious, what are those conversations like when you're reaching out to title companies? Like, what kind of things are you looking for? What are you saying? What have you seen work? What hasn't?
So I will definitely say this. Don't be like me. I didn't get okay, put it this way. My first phone call with a title company that went past 2 minutes was after 20 of them, right? So the first 20 was literally me saying, hey, hello, blah, blah, and just a click, right? It was less than a minute long. So, and I don't know if I should even give advice on this. This is just what I've seen on a very small scale. But when you call someone and you just approach with that, I want to sell you something, right? So for instance, if I call a title company and I say, hey, my name's Francois Ricard, I'm doing da 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 da, they're just gonna hang up in your face. Like they're not interested. You come, everybody thinks the salesman is sleazy and a dirtbag and et cetera, and all these horrible things, et cetera, right? When in all actuality, we just want to bring them something to help them, right? That's what we want to do. So I got to a point, it was probably around like 25th call to a title company. I sat down and said, okay, I have to think of something. Because if my phone calls aren't making it past a minute, I'm not going to get too far. So I'd actually call title companies. And the first thing I'd say wasn't even related to Gator. And it wasn't even a, hey, how are you? Or nothing along the lines of that. I'd asked whoever the front desk assistant was what her name was again. Granted, I heard her name the first time, but I kind of wanted to bring that wall down to make it sound like I didn't know what I was talking about, almost in a sense. So she didn't have to be as worried, so to speak. And then from there, I could kind of say, well, I was just curious to know. I noticed you were based in X, Y, and Z area. By any chance, does this particular title company happen to work with wholesalers? Right. And by that point, they think I'm just a customer now. So they were to forward me to another individual. It usually was an escrow officer or even a general manager, something along the lines of that. And then from there, I finally realized, okay, now I'm talking to the people that I need to talk to, right? Because the front desk assistant couldn't really help me with that. So once I got forwarded to there, I said, okay, great. And then, we have to define what an actual wholesaler is. I don't know if you want to go through that here, but we would just say, okay, great. This works here. And then I'd tell them my spiel. I'd say, I'll keep it as short and sweet as I can. I'm a part of Pace Morby's Gator community. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but we're just doing general outreach to title companies in the area, seeing if any of your wholesalers can benefit from any transactional lending, whether that's on earnest money deposits or simply just double closes, right? And it would go one of two ways. They either say, well, actually, it's only gone one way now. They'd either say no, or they'd say yes and then pass me on to some contact information. And I can show you the spreadsheets of all the title companies I've called. And I think my hit rate's been horrible, man. I think after like 80, I got 2 or 3. it was a choke, but it's all right. The 2 or 3 are the ones that count. So
that's right. And don't get down on that, man. I mean, there are plenty of people out there that are like, Yeah, I'm gonna make calls. So you're already taking action. You're crushing it, dude. That's what it's about. That latent potential, bro.
Thank you, thank you.
So, well, okay. There's so many things. So, okay. How trying to find the best way to word this. It's not an overly complicated question. It's just my brain is
Yeah,
firing.
they usually never are, brother. They usually never are.
Okay. So, I guess what I want to know is obviously you're on the younger side, right? You got time on your side. Um, Overall, do you think your age benefits or hinders you within this? Or does it not make a difference?
I will definitely say this. So I really thought I was the youngest one in Gator. I actually met a guy who was 17 who's actually going to Squad Up Summit. And it made me kind of sit back for it, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Not to drop bombs on your podcast, but
No, no, I get it.
I was like, "Oh my god!" It's like what a stud, right? Like everybody's telling me I started this guy. Look at him, a year ahead of me. I got to give him his applauses. But to fast forward a bit, in regards to if this helps me or not, I think it's a double-edged sword, so to speak, right? Because if I call title companies and I just come out the gate with, yeah, hey, I'm 18, they're just gonna laugh at me, right? They're gonna say, okay, this kid's young, he's never been through a recession, he doesn't know anything about anything, right? Okay, we can just blow him off, right? So and I really do think it is all perspective. So it's how we can shift that, right? So I have the privilege of being underestimated, right? I have the privilege of people thinking, okay, you can't do this, you're not capable of this, and et cetera, et cetera. So when I do show them and when I do achieve results, all of a sudden it'll be like, oh, okay, well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this kid can do something. Maybe this kid is capable of something, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I will say this in the community, it's definitely a lot different, specifically in the Gator community, because we all kind of have an alliance, so to speak. We're all in this to help each other and et cetera and accomplish certain goals. Obviously, some more than others, but I can't answer that, because sometimes it's great, sometimes it's lovely, sometimes people are like, what, this kid's doing the thing, he's out there, and I want to help him. While other times it's just like, okay, get out of my face.
So I think a big thing, and like really what sets you apart is the mentality you have to have, right? And I'm just saying this as I'm turning 30 this year.
Mm,
I never conceived these types of things in my mind at your age, right? So
mm,
I think that's a big part of why people are like, "Holy crap, you're 18." It's not necessarily because you're 18. It's simply because of the growth you've gone through or the mindset you have. They never even considered at that age, right? It took them a lot, whatever they went through to get to that point.
yeah.
So, in reality, like even as I asked the question, I
Mm,
realized that of course it doesn't matter, right? Your age plays no role in your success in life, right?
mm,
We have multiple stories of people who, um, you know, didn't do anything until they were 60s or 70s, or even some people who started 18 or 19 or whatever, right? Ultimately, it's about taking action. So I want to commend you. I'm proud of you. You did a great job. You're taking action. Even if it hasn't paid out yet, it's going to. It's going to soon, I promise.
there
As
we
long
go.
as you keep with it.
There we
Um,
go.
so, what, man? I am struggling today. So I'm gonna let you take the floor. I want you to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about, or you can ask me questions. I don't care.
Okay. I I'll definitely say this. If I know I'm not the only one out there down an entrepreneurial journey, right? Especially not this Gator method one only. But I'll say a great book that helped me is, and I'm not even a big reader. I'm just simply reading because individuals that I admired read. So, imitate success before you achieve it. So I'm reading a book now. It's Principles by Ray Dalio, right? Super solid book. It's pretty thick. It's about maybe 400 pages or so, right? I think that was a great book for me because, especially being so young, right? And I say so young when I still feel like I started late, but I have to be realistic here. I started literally when I could get legal, but while being this age, it really did help me have a bit of clarity on, okay, how do you want to live your life? How do you want to move forward from there? And then how can you, or what can you do, excuse me, to live according to that, right? Because in my personal opinion, success obviously is your own definition, right? So I'll give you an example. For me, success is meaningless if I can't have a strong body. I mean physically, I mean in terms of health wise, you could offer me $10 billion, but you'd say, Francois, you have to be clinically obese and bedridden for the rest of your life, and I wouldn't take it because I don't believe that I have to sacrifice one or the other to have one, right? So I think that was definitely one thing that helped me there, and that was one thing that helped me kind of establish a path. And I will definitely say this as well. I don't think that I don't think I'm working for passion right now. I'm just working to be the example, so to speak. Right? So my goal is not to do something I love, it's to do something that I know I'll be proud of. And then by default, I can go in to other people and help them whatever way and say, you know what, I did this, and because I did this, I can help you. Right? But I don't think your work is something where, oh, you should wake up every day and be ecstatic about it and be ready to go, right? It's like, where's the passion and where's the drive when you're broke, like when you're flat broke, right? Like I'll never forget it. My first meetup actually is going to be the Squad Up Summit in Arizona, and this might be a little TMI, but I was biking to work. It was 7 miles there, 7 miles back, and I worked at a restaurant, so I'd get off at 2 in the morning, so I'd get home at 3 in the morning, right? Because it was about an hour long bike ride. And I'll never forget. I was at my desk, and I saved like my last 1,500 bucks or something, or like 2 grand, right? And then I also went to the LA meetup for sub two, probably about a week and a half ago. So I said, okay, you know what? Pace told me to go to a meetup. I've never been to a meetup. I have no idea where to go in San Francisco. I'm gonna drive to LA. That's a great plan, right? So I drove to LA, spent probably I think I spent like 200 bucks in gas or something, which is really inconsequential if you think about it, but it broke my heart. I was like, damn, I'm not gonna eat for the next 3 days.
Oh,
But you're not gonna wish you had any less crazier stories. So, anyways, I go, I meet them, I say hey, I pick up a few contacts, whatever, fine. I come back to LA, and I think I'm on my last like $1,600, and there was a VIP ticket for Squad Up Summit that you could buy, and it was like 1590 or 16. It was something along the lines of that. And I was like, okay, if I buy this ticket, I'm all in. Like I can't. Like it's a 3-day refundable period. I'm not gonna look at this in 3 days. Like if I buy this ticket, I'm all in. And I remember I took a picture of it. I had $7 in my account after everything was all said and done. And I texted my mom and I said, hey, I just want to let you know I'm going to Florida. I don't know how I'm gonna get there yet, but I'm going to Florida. Just to let you know. Granted, I didn't tell her I drove to LA either until I got back.
ah,
But yeah.
man.
So I mean, do the thing, man. Do the thing. Do the thing. Go to the place. Do the crazy thing. Do the thing that really doesn't make any sense. That's typically how most of these people's stories went, anyways.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah, I get it, dude. Man. And if I was closer to you, I'd tell you hop in, let's go.
but if I can ask you a question, I've been talking a lot and I appreciate it. What's been I ask a lot of older not older, but just more mature people in the group, so to speak. And a lot of these individuals, they have kids, they have a life, they've lived my phase of life, right? And I just want to know from your perspective, because I remember last time we talked, you said that you had a you had three goals in life, if I'm not mistaken. You said have a wife, have a son, and be a firefighter, if I'm speaking correctly.
Yeah, have kids.
Yeah, have kids. What do you do after you accomplished your goal? Is it
That
just flatline?
so for a little bit I did.
Hmm.
Soon as it dawned on me that I had accomplished those goals, I spent, I would say, probably 6 months just
Hmm.
kind of like, what do I do now?
Hmm.
Luckily, I have a supportive wife, and she was like, find something else. Like, let's, find a new goal.
Hmm.
Um, and around that time, I had been digging into real estate, figuring it out, and I was like, you know what? This is, I'll dive into real estate. That's what I'll do. But at that time, it was only for the money, right?
Yeah.
It's just okay. I'll make only so much as a firefighter.
Hmm.
It's a great job. It's a lot of fun.
Hmm.
Not the best pay, but it actually wasn't until, and I mean, I say this, but it's renewing all the time. It wasn't really until probably a year ago that I figured out what it is I want to do in the long term, which for me has to do with farming. Uh, Ultimately, I want to end up um, changing how people grow food and eat in this country,
Hmm.
because it's, well. So this is a little side note. Everybody knows we have a obesity problem,
This is
in,
true.
not only in this country but in the world in general. More so in this country though. But something I've noticed. So I live in what is considered the country. Like, you walk out my door, walk a little bit down the road, and there's farms. Right,
Hmm.
that's where I live. Um, and I don't mean anything by it if you're watching this and you're in one of those areas. But a majority of the people that live here are well past the obese line. Okay. Um, and it's frustrating because, like, I was actually on that side a little over a year ago. Right, I was on the more obese side, and then I started getting my health under control and all that stuff, and I feel great now. I'm just like, why aren't you guys doing this too? Um, but interestingly enough, you go more towards the cities,
Hmm.
and there's not as many obese people.
Hmm.
And at first, I was like, what the heck is this? Like, they're solely on store bought stuff, and we got people who are growing their own food out here, but they're the obese ones, and these people aren't. And it's actually because everything's so spread out here. More people are driving in their car, and they're not actually getting out and exercising. Like, people in the city, they walk to whatever they want to go to,
Hmm.
right? So I do think it's interesting, but there are some things that need to change. Um, that being said, I appreciate the question. You were the first person on my podcast to ask me a question. So congratulations. We're not doing it again, though. This is your podcast.
Thank you.
But that does actually lead me into jump into the main questions that I ask each podcast. Um, so first off, Francois, what was it that made you decide to be on the podcast?
I'll definitely say this. I've been struggling. I've just been struggling in general with life and with Gator. And when I say struggling, let me be very precise and clear on something for individuals that are going to listen to this. My struggle is inconsequential to a lot of others, right? Like my struggle is whenever I think of struggle, my brain immediately shifts to okay, yeah, you're struggling, but you have food to eat, but you're in a first world country and you're going to college and you started a business, right? Yeah, you're struggling, right? Your problems are horrendous, so to speak. But what made me want to hop on this podcast was one, I always like talking to people, probably talking a bit too much to be honest, right? But I just wanted to know what other people who already did what I wanted to do or who already accomplished things that they wanted to accomplish had to say and what they could offer. And I know for a fact I can make friends pretty easily. I always have been able to, right? And I really did believe that. I said, okay, if I hop on this podcast, me and Corey, okay, granted, we might not be the best of friends and, we might not be going to each other's barbecues after this and that, but we'll have a relationship better than just texting through social media. And who knows, maybe someone hears me and maybe someone says, hey, I know you've been struggling, but what specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe how can I help you and etc. So it's going to sound corny, but I couldn't think of a bad thing that would come from me hopping on your podcast. I just truly couldn't.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. So we've dug in a little bit about your business. You're mainly doing Gator stuff.
Yes.
But that leads me to, why aren't we doing business together?
The simple question as to why we're doing business together is, for me, I mean, I have the capital. There's no question about it. I have my little lump sum of money and I've built my corporate credit up to this certain structure. But my thing is, you're always told start small and then go big. Every opportunity that I've had come across my way, I actually got another one yesterday that I have to take a look at. It's going to be funding some, let me get that exact answer for you. It's going to be funding 20% deposit on a 60K purchase, right? So me and a gentleman are going to go 50-50 with the split. And after everything is said and done, we need about 4 months to close. So it's going to be about a 10K profit for me in about 4 months, give or take. It all goes according to plan, which, it never does. So there's that. But I think as to why we're doing business together, I think we just have to have that conversation. We have to say, okay, what is it that you're doing? What is it that I'm doing? And then figure out how we can meet each other's needs, right? Because my thing is, look, I want to get started and I have gotten started. But the only thing is I don't want to get started with a $500,000 PML deal. Or if I am going to connect someone in a deal, I want to be there with them. And that's just something that I wouldn't be comfortable doing because there's almost so much on the line, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was really hunting for that smaller EMD because I said, okay, look, even at worst comes to worst, I can just go through Alexis and Abraham, or I have the contracts, I have TCs lined up. Now it's just actually getting the thing right and kind of taking that Nathan Selleck approach.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So I'm trying not to jump ahead because I actually want to ask this question. But first off, what would you say your strengths are, either in business and or your personal life?
So my strengths, let me tell you what I'm not good at first, okay? Because that'll help clear a lot of things up, right? I am not good at paperwork. Okay, let's just get that at the jump. I'm also not good at filing taxes. I actually do have my mom help me with that. Love her, bless her. She's so sweet. She's so kind. So those are things that I'm just I can do them, but if I do them, you're gonna want to check them, right?
Gotcha. Make a note of that. Don't have you do my taxes.
There you go, man. Don't let me. But in regards to what I'm actually good at, I think I'm a fantastic communicator. I think I can speak to people on a pretty fundamental level, and I think I'm also really multidimensional, right? So if need be, we can have a sit down conversation as if we were in a barber shop, right? Me and you. But if we go to events and we have individuals worth millions and millions of dollars, right? I can still switch up the persona, right? And I can retract and speak properly and speak more eloquently, so to speak, right? And go down that traditional route. So my strength was solely communication. I knew for a fact if I could get you in a room and I could talk to you, I can make you my friend. Or at the very least, I can figure out, okay, what is it that I can do for this guy? Because I'll be very transparent. There's a lot of people in the Gator community who I can't give anything to, right? I'm sure I can, but I just have to find it, right? Because everybody in the group has money. And even those who don't have money have access to money, right? So now it just comes down to, okay, I truly do believe that if I can meet people, I can make it in this business. No question. I just have to meet them. I can't necessarily do this whole, Zoom thing. I can, but it's just not the same for me.
Yep, I got you. All right, so then your weaknesses, we know taxes and
Taxes
paperwork.
and
Is there
paper.
anything else that you would consider a weakness of yours within business specifically?
I would definitely say probably a bit of organization. So I'm keeping track of every call and everything and every follow up through a spreadsheet right now. I did have a CRM for a while, but I mean, after a while, it just got cluttered. And when I say it got cluttered, it was just, I was doing so much outreach. It was probably around the vicinity of, it was anywhere from maybe about 100 outreaches on Facebook a day, maybe 120. The only thing is I'd have to take almost like 4 hour breaks between them. So Facebook will cap out. I'd say, okay, I have to stop. I have to stop for a few hours before it let me start going again. And then I'd call title companies. Or I just outreach directly to wholesalers through Facebook as well, right? Seeing what it was they did, etc. So I definitely say the organization part, just because tracking it all and saying, okay, I spoke to him on this day and I spoke to him on this day and I'm going to follow up with him on this day, right? That was just my downfall, or that's one of them, so to speak. There's a lot more, I'm sure, but
Okay.
one of the prevalent ones.
So sounds like what you need is to find yourself an integrator that can help you manage a CRM or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, definitely. Sounds like you didn't miss a beat.
So that leads to this pretty much the last main question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you need help with that's going to make you money in the next 30 days?
I think the main thing I need help with is just getting out there. Like I don't mind going the distance. If you were to tell me, Francois, we got to meet up in LA, I'll scrap together my last bit of change and I'll buy a plane ticket this time. I won't drive there again. that was a mission, man. That was a mission.
Nah, dude, what you need to do is you need to make friends with a pilot.
There you go, man. There you go. There's always a better solution. But but I think it's just getting out there, right? So Pace hosts all these meetups, and yeah, they're in Arizona and they're over here and they're over there. And I'll be honest with you, the Squad Up Summit ticket, right? The next meetup I actually am planning to go to is, I've already decided I'm going there. I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but I'm gonna go there. Do you know a guy named Patrick Bet David? He works in the insurance world, so to speak.
I don't.
Okay, well, I mean, I personally think he's a phenomenal guy. Obviously, he's created a ton of wealth, so to speak, right? And I think beyond that, he's actually a fantastic role model, right? He's a great father figure. He has a wonderful business. He has people that have worked with him for over 25 years. So I look at someone like that, and even Pace, someone who's more direct, almost, so to speak, and these people that have built these large communities, and I just want to get there and I want to see them and I want to feel the energy that they have and I want to see how they talk and the way they do things, right? And I truly believe that if I can get out there, I'm golden. I'll make it. Don't have a question about it. But awesome. I think that meetup's going to be in about September, so that's a bit later on the line.
Okay. All right, so you got Squad Up Summit coming up, and then you're going to that meetup in September.
Yeah, and then I'll probably slip in a little sneaky one in between somewhere in Arizona that Pace is going to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, so make sure I got this right. First off, if you're watching this and you're a wholesaler and you're trying to scale, or you're like, I can only get so many contracts because I only have so much for earnest money, reach out to Francois. His number's right there. All right. He'll fund it. He'll help you get it done. And he's not going to charge you, at least I don't think, he's not going to charge you so much that you're not going to make any money. All right. The goal is for everybody to make money. So don't even you know what I'm trying to say. Don't worry about it. If you're in San Fran, right?
Yeah, I'm in San Francisco.
Okay. So if you're in San Francisco and you know there's a meetup somewhere, real estate based or anything.
It can really be anything, man. I could care less as long as there's money there and people to do business with.
Okay, so if you know there's a meetup coming up and you're either going through San Francisco or you're from San Francisco, reach out, pick them up, take them, teach them everything you know. All right, unless it's wrong.
There we go. It's a good point to make.
All right, so Francois, lastly, I see we got your number there. Is there another way you want people to reach out to you?
So there is a number is definitely going to be the best. I do have an Instagram that they can take down if they'd like to. I can put that in the comments for you, or I can just say it right here.
Here, I can put it up. Give me. All right, what's that? Just go ahead and tell us what it is.
That Instagram is going to be Francois, so Francois, and then in the center is going to be a C, and then Ricard, Ricard.
Like this?
Solid.
Sweet. So go follow Francois. I know I'm about to if I don't already. I'm pretty sure I do though. And then what about like if someone's got a deal they want you to take a look at? How do they get in? Where do they send that to?
Number is going to be the best if you want to just say, hey, look, I got something along the lines there. My email is going to be Ricard, so it's going to be Ricard, Francois, Francois, 813@gmail.com.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Golden right there.
All right, brother. Well, that's pretty much all I got for you. Is there anything else you want to say?
Man, I want to see how far you go with the podcast, man.
So you're going to be episode number 10, and my goal is to become in the top 1%.
Okay.
It means I've got to break episode 20. So you're my halfway point, brother.
All right. Good to hear. Good to hear.
All right. Well, Francois, thank you again. I really appreciate it. And I love what you're doing. And I know you're going to crush it. Just keep going. All right.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, Francois, I'm going to send you the back and close this thing up.
Will do, brother. Thank you again.
All right. Well, guys, that's our show. I enjoyed having Francois on. First off, Francois, that is an awesome name, right? His parents could have named him Francis, could have been Francisco, like this area he lives in. But no, they went the fancy route and said Francois, and I love it. So follow him, learn from him, teach him. All right, that's what we're about here, right? Like I said in the beginning, rise to a place of excellence. That means finding out what you're missing, fixing it, learning from others, teaching others. Everybody's on the same path. You're just in different spots, right? So I always forget I have a button right here. Boom. Like and subscribe. Come back next week. And have a great week. Hang out. Put comments in, questions, concerns, all that stuff. And until next time, have a wonderful day.